That night, he shot up from a nightmare, clinging to me like Ashaprekt. Sailor tossed onto the shore, drenched and trembling. Master, his voice, laced with a fear that hadn't faded, was on the verge of shattering. I dreamed the sky. It cracked. I rubbed his sweat slicked back, trying to transfer my own calm to him. But his next words sent a shell to my very fingertips. A massive fissure, like a wound that would never heal, stretched across the heavens, and in the crack, there was an eye staring at me. A black sun for an eye, holding no light, only a void that consumes. The gods are all dead, Master. Their statues on Olympus have crumbled to dust. And then, a city rose from the sea. He paused, struggling for words to describe a terror beyond language. Its architecture made no sense. It was Euclidean, stairs that went down but led you up. The angles of the walls were designed to make you go insane. But what truly horrified me was what he said next. The city was calling me. It sounded like frogs croaking by a river in summer. This constant ribbit, Master. I don't think I can fight it. That sound freezes the marrow in my bones. Frogs, I froze. A memory, long buried and collecting dust, hit me like a bolt of lightning. And then you understood everything. Those weren't frogs. That was a perversion of a sound far older. A name misheard by his young soul. It was a hymn from beyond the stars. The whisper of Arlia. The ancient chant for Cthulhu. And he heard it as background noise from Aswan. In that instant, a terrible theory I had long refused to confront finally had me in a chokehold. I had always believed he was his protector, that my power had built him a sanctuary from sin and punishment. But the truth was a cruel, perfect inversion of everything. This whole world is a cheap knockoff, a fake, a child's crayon drawing. Here, a simple nursery rhyme can awaken ancient forests. A single tear of pity can extinguish the fires of hell, and the scrolls of fate are strict. Lie, read only. Mount Olympus, the home of the gods, is just gold foil, the kind that wrinkles if you breathe on it too hard. And my so-called powers, they re just a cheat code you wrote into the game, because you need add a god mode to lean on. I'm not the one dreaming, you are. This entire world, this temple at Delphi, the towns below, even the gods above is an epic, tragic meme you spun from your own shattered soul. You are the server admin for this whole reality. You bled out in the real world, so you coded a master in your dream who could never bleed. You carried the weight of everyone's death in reality, so you offloaded that weight on to fictional gods in your dream, turning your sins into something lighter than air. This ISN Sohm Zen master, dreaming he, say Monkey King, or a god having a vision of a mortal. This is a hero on the verge of a total system crash, creating a master for himself. It never saved you from your sins. On the contrary, you handed me a script and cast me in this ridiculous, tender passion play of your own making. Who are you? I stared at him. This young man I had called my disciple. You are no son of a mortal. You are the last stone Deucalion, and Pirha threw over their shoulders after the great flood, the very foundation of this age of man. You still, where the rainbow seams, where the goddess, Nüwa, stitch at the heavens back together. Now, the sky is torn open again, and only the hardest stone can mend it. When that mad city rises, only the heavy street stone can sink it back into the abyss. You are Yin, the Odton, it means both the void and the one who fills it. He just shook his head, his eyes filled with the terrified confusion of Okild, clinging to the dream's settings. No, master. I can't. I'm just an orphan, you found at the temple gates. I gripped his cold hand, pouring all of my existence into my voice, forcing him to hear the name that was clawing its way back from primordial chaos, a nom not given by me, but branded by destiny itself. Listen to me, I said, each word, Amr blow. You are the stoneborn, the mender of the fissure, the doom of the black sun, the gatebreaker of Arlia in this dream. Your name is Kaon NG, but outside, in the real world, your name is the Awakener. The moment the word was spoken, the very architecture of the dream began to buckle. The line between Delphi's sanctity and Arlia's madness began to blur, a tide line shifting on a beach of sanity. Outside, the shadows of the pines were warped, stretched, and finally swallowed by a single, slowly opening black pupil, the void. From the dome above, the source code of this dream, a language I never understood became a physical, percussive force, growing louder, closer, and infinitely more insane. Ik. It was the laugh of a Stygian sea, waiting for the dreamer's breath to finally become a death rattle. I had to get him out of this collapsing temple. Dream. We had to go to Mount Olympus last time, not to beg for a fake pardon, but to say a final epic goodbye. As we climbed the celestial stairs, the reaction of the gods confirmed everything. They were constructs, NPCs he had designed to carry his grief. Now, the player was about to wake up, and their programming was ending. Hermes the messenger stepped aside without a word, his famous wing-edged sandals making no sound. On the cloud steps, Hera sat enthroned, the pearls around her neck dimming under the encroaching shadow. Athena, goddess of wisdom, stared at him for a long time, her gaze no longer sharp, but like someone staring at Ymir polished so clean it sat out to show what's really there. The threads of the three fates thrashed wildly, instinctively trying to wrap around his ankles, before recoiling in what looked like fear. Hephaestus, the smith, one of the lead developers of this dream, hid his hands behind his back like a guilty craftsman facing the masterwork he knows is about to be decommissioned. Poseidon's trident stood planted in Aphantum sea breeze, cold salt sliding down the metal like tears for its own impending deletion. The entire pantheon, once thrumming with power and authority, was terrifyingly silent. I stood before them, and before him the creator of this dream, and I made my announcement. Temples are dreams, and you gods are the light within them. But when the sky cracks, light can stitch it shut. It can only illuminate the wreckage. For that, you need a stone. My eyes scanned each of the silent deities. Not some pebble that comes to Olympus looking for hand-outs or a safe house. We need the first stone. the last stone from after the flood, the one that can sculpt humanity back from the mud, and that stone is standing right here, in front of you. The gods said nothing, because their core programming knew the truth. The original pact, the source of all power, was never made on this golden mountain. It came from a much older place, from the roar of the sea and the rage of volcanoes. They were just its agents, subcontractors hired to play act forgiveness and damnation to keep the dream stable. They had been running the simulation for so long that even their own memories were now plated in cheap, shining gold. I had him sit alone on the weathered steps of the Park Nan, the place where the veil between the real of this dream and the unreal was thinnest. It was here I would help him reclaim the name he had long forgotten. I began to chant not the oracles of Delphi, but syllables far more ancient. The wind howled through the Grand Colonna deep. Pigeons exploded into the air, their shadows streaking across the plaza like arrows. The true name was a red-hot hook, and it tore away the fragile foil of his mortal shell. The ritual was violent. Beneath his skin, something harder, vaster, an utter lie indescribable began to emerge. It was not the flesh and bone of man, nor the mythic body of a titan. It was a structure beyond organic and inorganic, the first primordial stone too, cool after the universe was born, etched with the laws of stellar orbits and the logic of entropy. He threw his head back in agony as the texture of ancient rock bloomed across his skin. The sound that ripped from his throat was not the cry of a young man, but the grinding of tectonic plates, the roar of Aster score. He was remembering it all, the flood, the lone lances of being cast upon the earth, his eternal mission as the foundation and the anchor. When the last syllable fell, he stood up. The fog of confusion and vulnerability that had clung to him evaporated like mist. His eyes, now like two newborn white-hot stars, stared calmly at the widening black fissure in the sky, and at the colossal, malevolent eye behind it. The dream was shattering. The gold foil of Olympus was peeling away. He was no longer Kaon Ng, the lost child seeking absolution in a fantasy. He is the awakener, and he has returned to plug the hole in the sky, and to drag a mad city and its sleeping god back to the bottom of the sea where they belong.